You can call meeting to order.
Okay, call the meeting to order. We'll start with the reading and the approval of the minutes for our January 16th, 2026 meeting. I need a motion to accept.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
On to the finance report.
I'll make a motion to accept the check detail as presented.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye. And I'll make a motion to accept the cash flow statements as presented.
Second on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Just a quick update, the audit is, fieldwork's completed. So I'll have the reports for the March meeting for approval. So we'll have plenty of time to review them. And then I post them to the ABO website by the end of March. Everything is looking good for that.
Okay.
I put out mowing bids that are due back in March for our March meeting as well. So mowing and some brush hogging, possibly on the 100 acres for that habitat parcel that we bought, just to keep that maintained.
Yep.
So I'll present those to the board next month. Civic Serve, I've been working with that group, and we're ready to pretty much go live. So we'll have an online application. All of our projects will be online. And I think I sent out like invites to everybody if you've seen them.
Yeah.
Civic Serve.
I tried to get in. I think I had a problem.
I think because we're not live yet, but I'll talk to them because I have a weekly meeting with them, so
I
if
forgot
we have
about
another
that.
issue.
Yeah,
Can you-
I saw
okay.
that.
Yeah,
Can you
I'll
send us
resend
it?
yeah, cause I tried to get in and I couldn't, I'm like,
Right, so, board members will have access to everything, but new customers or clients, when they fill out the application, they'll pretty much have just access to their stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's a public portal where anybody can look at all the projects and the data, similar to our current
Right.
website, but it's all in one location for Civic Serve.
Okay.
But I'll keep you updated on that.
are you gonna link to that from the existing website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a link to Greene County Economic Development as well, so we're all linked up, so I'll resend the invites.
Well, now you have all this free time because of that, so what can we still get it done?
Now that our audit's almost done too. I always say we're really busy in the beginning of the year because, over the winter, everybody's kind of quiet. Now's the time where people are interested in projects and land, so we start maybe selling some land and breaking ground on a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
Well, let's jump into our projects. Bailey Street parcel, I had to order an appraisal. We sent our 90-day letter to the state, and Paul and I reviewed it, and they want an appraisal done on the property, so we're in the midst of that. It takes, 2 to 4 weeks, so I'll present that to the board, and then we can move forward on that land sale. The negotiated portion of it is that it's for economic development, and it'll create more jobs over in that space and clean up Bailey Street Park. So I will get you that information by the next meeting. Two things that I did send out to the board. One of them is discussing the New Baltimore infrastructure extension. This potential project we've been kind of talking about for a while. Renee started it maybe 5-6 years ago. At that time, running infrastructure from Culkford up to the Thruway and beyond was like a $9 million budget. And for the amount of economic development that we could do up there, we decided we weren't going to pursue that. This is a truck stop project that they would pay for the infrastructure to their spot, which comes in at about 3.5 million. I don't have all of the information yet from them. I didn't get a draft application or anything like that, but what Paul and I can work on is like a cost benefit analysis and maybe look at how they've done leases and pilots elsewhere in the state.
Yeah,
Where would they think, where's their
So,
spot on the south
Campton
end?
Road, near Campton Roads.
Okay, on that side?
Yeah, so it
Alright.
would go past like the dentist could hook into it. There's other development projects that people are looking at on that side. So,
I mean, the only issue we have is, it's a retail project.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so we have to get approval. The county has been working on it as well, so they've I believe we have their support, but obviously
Yeah.
we'd have to get a letter of support for the project.
And there's been some other pilots, other counties have done similar, so we
I
probably.
think what people have done, and this is what people are chatting about, and I'm like, is for the cost of the infrastructure.
Mhm.
They do what's called a pilot increment financing, so they pledge the pilot payments as collateral for the payment of the debt. But, the problem is you gotta get the consent of the friends from the county, because it's their money or some
Yeah.
portion of it.
Okay,
And I'm not sure why the school would agree to it, and not sure why the towns would agree to it. So depends on what
Yeah.
kind of, but the
Yep.
county obviously gets, if it's a big enough facility, would get substantial county sales tax.
sales tax revenue.
So we'd have to kind
Yeah,
of present
yeah.
that information.
So I think, yeah, the county.
There's a lot to
rationale,
talk about.
Yeah, it would be sales tax, the town and the school would be new property, a higher level of property tax than they're receiving right now.
Well, they're getting nothing right now.
Exactly, and that would be positive, so
That's what we have to
But
do
we,
next.
we wanna be careful, not to be the sponsor of this.
Right.
Just to say, hey, this is the application we received, are you guys interested in this? Cause if the county's not interested in it, then
Right.
the financing's not gonna go.
Gotcha.
And is Kaufberg, is that retail plaza on the other side, are they in or out?
Not in.
They're not in,
Or you mean, in
Oh,
terms of.
McDonald's?
like where the
They
McDonald's,
have public sewer, yeah.
They're already there.
they're already there.
Yeah,
Cause I'm trying, there's nothing really beyond Kaufberg, is there? There's that antique center,
Yep, the antique center, and then there's a dentist, and then there's a lot that,
So the two hotels are on septic?
well, yeah. Yeah, they're putting in,
Yeah. big time,
something, and
yeah.
then the truck stop that's there, the existing one is doing a package thing.
Package
with a-
plant, yeah.
Package plant, I think, but they would be able to hook in if they could run it from that
Further,
side over,
yeah.
right, but I think New Baltimore's also got some kind of grant where they're coming down, so. James and I have well, we don't have it set up yet, but we have an email back from Denise Tabor, who's the new supervisor in New Baltimore, to actually discuss using some chippy funds possibly for this project and to bring water and sewer down from the other side to meet up.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
cause if a number of years ago it was 9 million
Well, that's to drill underneath the thruway to get from.
to get over the bridge.
So it goes down?
Under or over, I'm not sure
Right.
which way it
I've seen
goes.
right.
it where it goes, it's hung on as a pipe onto the bridge.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than drilling under it, if they actually do it, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that, but you
Yeah.
just got decent enough pipe.
Yeah, and then of course, hopefully, I mean, I think this is a catalyst for other stuff up there.
it could be.
Yeah.
And it could clean up that whole area, so,
Mhm.
I mean, if we have the
This
shipping
one-
funds and,
yeah,
we have funds of our own, the only issue is, do we wanna be the leader of it? We could invest our own money, that's certainly.
we could, but that's why we did chippy funds
Yeah.
also as like a host benefit that would
Right.
do infrastructure upgrades.
Yeah.
So that the IDA wasn't always footing the bill.
When would our first payment of the chippy funds be 28?
I'm thinking the pilot should start 2027, because if they go live. Then,
Well, okay, so they're not gonna make the 26 March status date. That's March 1 of 26. So that would generate the school and the January 27 bill. So I think you're looking at the 27 roll effective for the 28 payment.
this is a part of the phone call with Ray.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying to you, and then we have to coordinate that, and right now is the 19th, so you have 10 days, to figure it out, so,
So we have.
I think you're not gonna make it, but it depends also, does the company wanna go live on that roll, because they're not operational with this.
But the letter said that they would be operational,
Okay,
hopefully by the end of May 31st.
right, but why would you, okay, I mean, it's up to them.
I'm gonna follow lead with what you and
Okay.
Ray decide, and I'll just.
So there's pots of money.
Yeah.
It's the question, I don't think we wanna do anything without, talking to the county.
Mhm.
Obviously,
We've been,
doing that and get their buy-in, because, without them, we don't wanna be spending their money,
Right.
I just think, we don't wanna be the leader of this. If we can show why this makes sense to them,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously it would,
Mhm.
then I'm sure we would do it. Yeah.
So it'd be about 40 to 50 jobs with benefits, and they do, school reimbursements and things like that. So it's a good family-owned company.
Yep.
They do other things. We talked about maybe they have a building, at the end where we could have, public meetings, things like that. So they're supposed to be sending in a presentation with a draft application, which I will send to the board as soon as I have it. Because there's a lot of other perks and things like that involved. They have presentations that they show James and I of, other areas of the country where they're the first ones in, and then over the years you see.
So I
the
said a
development around
catalyst
them.
usually, because they are a draw off the throughway,
Right.
because
And we haven't put other companies, like other gas stations out of business.
they probably help
It's-
them.
Yeah.
If anything, they get more,
Right, because you're coming off the throughway
Yeah.
and, if it's a truck stop, you go to, another gas station.
Yeah.
There was also something about, the overnight stays. So the truckers that stay overnight, it's a 12-hour turnover instead of like a hotel, which would be a 24-hour turnover. So there's a lot of data that I have to,
Okay.
put into a spreadsheet form and, do the cost benefit analysis with Paul on, what they're requesting versus, what the, sales tax that they're gonna be bringing in.
Mhm.
Do you want to just so I can get it in my head initially, what do we think the ask for the county's gonna be?
All right, so any of these things are called pilot increment financing. So whatever portion of the project would be funded, then what the typical norm is that the pilot payments, so there's three buckets of that, town, county, and
School.
school, would be pledged as collateral or some portion of that. So April and I had talked about, 50%
Mhm.
would be pledged as collateral for the bonds. So, obviously the county would get pretty good whip on that
Mhm.
because of the sales tax revenue.
Mhm.
But, I don't know what the benefit is to the school. And I'm not sure what the town might get the benefit for, for whatever, but, that would be the ask. So apparently it's 50%, up to 50%. Let's leave it at that. It's all kind of speculative.
Yeah.
So up to 50% of the pilot payments. But again, we're gonna have to do a cost benefit analysis to make sure that
So
makes
the
sense.
company
because-
pays 100% of their taxes into this pilot,
Mhm.
and then we use some to pay down the bond, and then
50% go to the
50%
second, that's
goes to
50% are available for debt service on the bonds.
All
But
right, so it's for debt service, not necessarily just collateral.
no, it's debt service to do the
That's-
work on the extension. I mean, other than that,
Yeah,
I don't
who's
think
gonna pay for it?
we're not gonna pay for their project.
No.
But the issue is, so do we get, what other land do we open up for development?
Mhm.
And what's the ancillary benefits for us? I think that's our business decision.
Right.
It's like the TIF there, it's like a project infrastructure
Yeah.
fee
Yeah.
model we talked about one time.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah, it's the same thing, but,
Part of that new revenue to pay for the infrastructure.
yeah, it really what it is someone's gotta fill the gap to get the infrastructure out there.
Right.
And so the question is, the company's saying, well, I can build this facility and I can put it in your community, but all this offsite stuff, I ain't got the money for it.
Yeah. Right.
So that's,
This would be using New Baltimore's, water and sewer?
well, it's the village of
it
Cooksaki.
all ends up flowing
Yeah.
east.
Does Coxsackie have the capacity?
Mhm.
They will. They did, we have certain, capacity reserve, but they also are in the midst of upgrading a lot of stuff because they got grants.
Yeah.
So is it important for them to get additional, to
If you have
make
you.
more money off the plant? I
More
mean,
users is good, yeah,
So-
absolutely.
that's a pitch.
Plus,
I mean, if they've got capacity, if they don't, then it's a
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
so.
I think they have capacity. The issue is really, it's a big number.
Mhm.
It depends, if you can pare it down or whatever, but it's kind of still speculative. So, I think the point of this is let's get the information together.
Mhm.
Let's then talk about it as a group.
Mhm.
And then we should have a meeting with the county before any of this goes, public, to see if there's an appetite for this thing. And then we kind of see where it flushes out.
Do we,
Like most things, if the numbers work,
Right.
they work. If they don't,
is there any I mean, aside from the money, is there any downside
Well, the downside is, okay,
project?
so the IDA issued bonds.
Yeah,
They don't come, I mean, they don't come, they
Yeah.
don't do the thing, so then these bonds are bonds of the IDA, they're non-recourse to the members of the IDA's assets. So, you would have a failed project or no basis for how you would,
so the risk is completion of the project.
and the end user paying its
paying.
Monthly payment.
Yeah, their operation tanking or whatever, or where are we in a position if, just say, Lowe's went out of business or bankrupt or say there was some
Yeah.
corporate problem, where does that put us in a?
Subject to their assumption of the lease or someone's assumption.
We're in like a first position, I guess is what I'm saying.
We're in a first position relative to the payments. It's still gonna be subject to Love's overall bankruptcy, you know,
right, right.
and they have the ability to assume or reject all leases.
Mhm.
I mean, like I just went through some issues with the Rite Aid bankruptcy and,
Yep.
you know, what happens with those stores. So
Yep.
it's the Wild West, but if you have a good location.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are willing to get off that exit, then,
Yeah.
you know, people buy it.
So we'll look at how long we think it'll take to repay that bond too.
10 to 20 years would be your amortization period. Because it's infrastructure, you don't wanna be out there for, you know, beyond 20.
No, the shorter the better, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but you know what I'm saying, I mean, if you start amortizing stuff over a 10-year, you know, let's say you have a 1-year construction period.
Yeah.
So then you do a 10-year am after that, it's a little tight, and then, you know, the principal payments become kind of a big slog,
yeah,
you know, so.
Yeah, these,
And I'm not sure that the
I have
pilot
a
payments would be
spreadsheet.
sufficient, you know, to cover. Because remember, this facility doesn't have a lot of building.
right.
You know, there's not a lot of accessible real property, you know, there's a canopy, maybe 12 dispensaries.
Yeah.
So,
those places are insanely busy if you've ever been to them. I mean, they're,
Yeah.
and then if you look at even the new Baltimore rest area, if you go by there on some weekends or what, it's completely packed. Like you cannot fit a piece of paper in that place. So, it's a tremendously cash flowing business that just, I think except our risk end is probably very low in terms of businesses.
I have a spreadsheet with James on the original 9,
Mhm.
and the amortization schedule and
Mhm.
like the payments, so. I just have to talk to Denise in New Baltimore because we did set it up where portion of it would be chippy funds, portion of it would be a bond.
Yep.
And we probably could pay it off in 10 years would be better anyway, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, infrastructure after 20 years.
Now, what
Come on.
happens with, okay, they're doing this and they've, chipped in to do this project, and then the guy right up the street wants to tap into the line. And they're like, hey, we just paid for that thing. What is his deal? What's his?
I've had that go a variety of different ways,
Yeah.
but that line itself would be dedicated to some public body. Be it the village, of
Right.
So therefore,
It's our line,
yeah,
Yeah,
And we
So-
turned over to the village.
well, okay, so assuming we're in.
not ours, yeah, but I mean, like.
We built it.
Yeah, it's a municipality's line. That owns it,
They're
so
gonna build it, so it'll be their line until they turn it over to.
They're
the-
gonna be required to turn it over.
Right,
to
So
the
that becomes-
village or the town, whoever's the sewer department there is.
I
So-
think it's the village,
Yeah,
right?
so say the guy right next door says, hey, I'm gonna spend $2,500 tapping into that line,
Okay,
it's okay.
Right.
it's
gonna have to
okay,
be.
yeah,
it's
Now-
a good
but you cannot charge in New York State. Well, this is, you know, tap fees or entrance fees, those are illegal.
Okay.
But you can, you know, so you can, the cost of the engineering review, you can charge for,
Mhm.
but tap fees or entrance fees are
Okay.
illegal. However, we, you know, we may want to require some kind of, some structure, I gotta kind of think about that. So that we can use that as a prepayment source for the construction of the line.
Something to think about with the chippy line, so where that line ends there, right, and we've done this, just say as it is, and with the funding. And a thought of the chippy fund is to say, okay, you got 3 businesses down the road who want to, they wanna figure out a way to extend that line down to them.
pass the throughway.
Yeah, because just say it ends at Love's and just say the hotel and 3 other people say, we're interested in running the line. That might be a good use for the chippy funds to,
Help with the. for
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
yeah, that's
You
what I'm
know,
saying.
and then we had, you know, we did have some funds, I think, from the Kalkberg and, you know, parks where
Yeah.
there was infrastructure funds.
Because there's
In our pilot, yes.
Yeah, pilot fund.
There's gonna be an ask, once if that goes, I guarantee you those hotels are gonna be like, they spend a lot of money dealing with their water and sewer and all that, it's actually a nightmare for them.
But that's on the other side of the throughway,
Mm.
so I'm thinking that would be some New Baltimore project coming down
But there's
from
no,
Ravina.
Oh, it's way too far.
Wait a minute, I thought you said it was by Camping World, so what about the hotel
Oh,
that's,
on our side.
by, right,
Oh, yeah, they could
Yeah.
have.
that hotel could
Yep.
have,
Yeah, yeah.
right,
Cause the water and sewer on the other end of Baltimore is up by packaged pavement. That's like mile, it's like 6 miles.
Okay.
It's probably not gonna, yeah. I would say if we extend, you'll extend from Ravina down that way, but not, now. That's not a bad idea to think about, when they're thinking about their chippy funds, if you extend it down to packaged pavements property. Something could be there, but. I'm betting on the short term, there'll be a lot more interest. Camping World, all those people will be, the hotel will be interested in doing something, and maybe that's where they can.
you can't charge a hooking fee, but they'd be responsible for building the line from their property out to the road,
The
right?
lateral.
The construction
Right,
cost,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's, I would be curious to know, you have the big project running it to there, extending the line another 500 feet down the road. That's probably almost a project that the town or village could do at a much lower cost than the big project, they'll call it, running it across the thruway
Yeah,
bridge and
yeah,
all that. Once it's there, extending it down another couple hundred feet, the village or whoever can basically dig a trench and put a pipe in it, probably not for a very high cost compared
So
to.
maybe when the thing comes up, you go to the people who are the real beneficiaries of real projects, the two hotels.
Yeah.
Have them contribute to the cost.
Right.
And that will reduce the amount of the
Mhm.
ask on the pilot and the other items.
Mhm.
I mean, because there's obviously a benefit to them of getting off,
Absolutely, huge.
being on a
Sure.
municipal system is a lot better.
Oh, the reliability, everything. is
Whereas-
good.
Whereas if they're an original applicant or
Yeah.
part of the funding program, as opposed to someone connecting into an existing facility, you could probably describe that as a.
And who we're gonna get their biggest probably thing from is truck stop on the other side of the thruway.
Oh, that's a hazardous waste site from what it
Cause
looks like.
we know what it is, yeah, but those guys could be like, hey, you're putting in a truck stop
You told
over
us
here.
no.
You told us no,
Well, right, but
but the answer is they're paying
$3
$3 million bucks
Right,
for this, and you're welcome to continue the line if you wanna pony up some money. So we do have an answer for that.
But what you're also saying, if I'm hearing you, is as this comes together, like we have the county aspect, but there should also be a conversation with the municipality to say,
Yes,
Yeah.
they're doing their 3.5 million, you guys should really get some planning done.
yes.
Right.
Once it's done, now's the time to do it,
And then that possibility, or is there a possibility that the big thing gets done and just say, the guy 100 feet up the road wants to do it, is that something they can self-perform at a much lower cost, and we'll figure out who's gonna pay for that,
Right.
So I'll have the village, New Baltimore County, if you wanna rep, kind of liaison between county and.
When's that meeting happening?
I don't have the dates yet.
Let me know,
but
because I might try to.
I know
opt
it's
in
the
on
village
that.
system, but is that still the village of Coxsackie?
Yes.
All the way up there is still the village,
Yeah.
It's
huh?
always been.
Well,
Oh,
it's village
wow.
does everything,
They
yeah.
go all the way to Shelley Park with the water.
Mhm.
See, the water's already far out there. They already got the water out there. It's the sewer that's the problem.
So,
And then the 3.5 million we're talking about, that is the pilot sharing portion, correct?
yes,
Or is it that additional?
That's the total cost of the project.
that,
No,
no,
well,
that's
that's-
just the
that's
cost
what-
of the infrastructure, the
Right.
actual
I know, the
investment from the
infrastructure.
company be like 5 or 6 million, I think their other one they built was 12 million, but I'm not exactly sure.
Lateral, the sharing of the pilot, that
Right.
3.5 million
The
comes back
assessed,
to us that way.
the assessed value would generate a source of revenues,
Mhm.
which would be.
Which would be directed.
Correct, yeah. So.
All right, but it's not out of pocket money for them. It's, once they're up and operational, it's cash flow.
Well, it'd be out of pocket first and then sort of will pay,
They're talking about building the infrastructure?
yes.
Yeah,
I think,
There's
There's a-
most of your saving in the 9 million right there.
yeah, because
Because
then
they
you
don't
got
have to be, right, yeah,
Right.
they can do it as a
Yeah,
private contract.
the only issue though is, how do they get the rights to build in the public right of way
Right.
and it not being deemed to be a public project?
Good question.
Yeah, I can see some unions lining up
Yeah,
Yep.
to
I'll
try
send
to.
you, I'll send you a picture of me with my project where the rats were outside.
Runs around.
Send you the both quotes, because James has them from
From the
CT
bad
now in
Oh,
Delaware.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Two different.
Well, I'll send you a picture with it.
Let me play devil's advocate. Because I can hear this almost immediately.
That's what we need to hear is, where the problems are.
Why are we not looking at Catskill being we already just put structure there?
We mean for Loves? I think
No. Well, because we have.
Well, I'm
two
just
that
telling
we
you, the
built
first thing you're
there.
gonna hear from legislator.
Yep.
Why are we not looking at Catskill? We just put all that money
It's
in.
here to get the hotel hooked up to the water sewer. I don't know if they have the capacity
You're
down
saying you're
there
giving up?
for Loves. I'm not giving up Loves.
I'm
Loves
saying
is
giving
looking
up
at-
because anything's gonna require water. So is I need giving up on Catskill?
Cause I actually just.
Never mind, find out.
These are the questions you're gonna get hit with.
Yeah.
Where would you put it?
across the street.
It's on our property.
Well,
Oh, on the 60 acres across from Camptown that we just invested and a nice, you know,
well, Lowe's came to us with this site, right?
yes.
So their analysis is that's the place to go. That would
Have they looked at Catskill site?
I don't know.
We sort of. Not made a promise, but back when Camptown invested all that money, we thought we would not put a truck stop right across the street from that investment. I don't think Truck
Stand up
stop.
on the back of the legislature.
because a truck stop, they want a truck stop there?
I'm telling you, they want something there.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually I just talked to Paul about an idea of approaching another developer that might benefit from
I mean,
this.
I can personally, I give you a list of 10 things I'd prefer to see, you know,
Well, we
but
have a GEIS, already mostly completed for that, so maybe another hotel, some retail in the front.
I would.
I would,
hope something-
I would say that from a devil's advocate point of view, let's see what the Love's application looks like, because I bet you their analysis, I mean, if I think about Cooksaki exit as close as it is to I-90.
Yeah.
To the spur and
Oh, yeah.
coming down, if I think about where the gaps
business
are,
park-
right, if you're
business
coming
park-
down from Albany, there's really.
Yeah, yeah.
Baltimore's not
Yes.
it, right? Like you're coming down, there's not one in Schenectady,
Yeah.
if I. Now, that doesn't mean Catskill, but I just think you have different.
That
pivot
12 mile
points. That
might
to
make
me,
a huge
Um,
difference.
yeah,
I think,
It's the answer, if the company is the desire.
Yeah.
well,
We don't-
yes, but legislators,
We're just trying to hash out
No,
here.
I understand, but wouldn't that be, I mean, theoretically, that would be the answer. If they looked at Catskill, they don't want Catskill, they want Kisaki. What are
and
we
they're the
gonna
ones, but it's their money.
do? Yeah, so all we have to do is establish. that that's-
Also,
I just don't know that there's a business, their business plan will indicate, right, whatever,
Mhm.
that's what I think their application may put some information in there that may be helpful.
Or you
A
could ask
logistical
them,
decision
right?
would be
Right.
one, looking at another failing truck stop right on the other side of the thruway, which it's obvious they're gonna take. When you look at
Right.
those two operations. And then, yeah, proximity to 90, all that is, I'm sure is actually a factor there.
I think your only really proper answer,
That's where they wanna be.
this is what the company
Well,
determined.
Yeah,
And
there was also some discussion years ago with Renee about something about driving over the bridge
We did.
to our site.
I remember
I
saying
do
it's too
remember
far.
that, yes.
Which in my mind
Yeah.
doesn't
doesn't make a
work,
sense,
but
yeah.
I wanna say they gave it a look and passed on it, so
Yeah.
and I think it was the bridge and some weird things that were like, it's right there.
yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it is, and it could be some logistical in and out and turns with tractor
I was
trailers.
gonna say,
But as Paul said, that is the site they're interested in.
I think the real issue is the visibility at Cooksaki is much better. And they, like the one, I go by one of those sites on the way into Buffalo.
Mhm.
And they would want visibility.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're,
Yes.
yeah, it's like,
You're
And
correct.
that 23B bridge going south
blocks a lot of it.
blocks a lot of visual,
Mhm.
because you see in Anthony's and then you see, it kind of stops.
yeah,
And then, okay, around the corners, what is our problem?
yeah.
And then
for the
you,
same
so I
reason
don't
that
disagree.
legislators want a Cracker Barrel, they want a
Yeah.
chain restaurant, like understanding the
Wishful
manner
thinking.
of all of that.
Yeah.
The truth is, if they were to come, that sales tax
Yeah.
benefits everybody, like the rising
Yeah.
tide
Yeah.
theoretically should.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but the county really was a leader in the state on our sales tax results.
I saw that.
I saw that,
Yeah,
yeah.
We were much higher than the average sustained, so there was actually some declines,
Mm-hmm.
and we pushed about 6% again this year.
Which it's good, because it helps, that article helps reinforce why you do these kinds of projects, is that.
And this
sales
is
tax.
gonna bring, you know, not only gasoline, but there's always a fast food joint in there,
Yes.
an Arby's or
Yeah.
something.
And then the proximity to our business parks, there are a lot of
That's
tractor
what I was
trailers
just gonna say.
right down the
Right.
road where Catskill, there is not. So that's only on and off, where they're gonna
Yep.
pick up all that residual.
All the warehousing and everything
Yep,
else.
all
that's
those
there,
trucks go right by
truck
them, they're
repairs
gonna
and-
pull in there and
Yeah.
fuel, no doubt, so
Yeah.
they're,
It
they
does
got a
make,
locked in business right there.
I think, like you said, the logistics makes it, you know, a really probably pretty powerful. I'm just saying, but be ready for it.
Yeah, no,
because-
that-
It's fine.
yep, you are
Right.
correct,
Need to be
that's
ready.
gonna be the first question that probably comes up, so.
I haven't abandoned that site.
No. Well, I mean,
Yep.
that's again, just playing devil's advocate, well.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if we wanna talk about water too much, so. Water and sewer.
Alright,
So as I get more information, I will pass that on to the board.
okay,
Just update, I sent out the link for the Coxsackie comp plan, if you want to take a look at that online. If you have any input, Fred is on the committee, so he can filter information over to that too.
how has that been received so far?
I don't know, go ahead.
I can tell you. Well, I've only talked to one person, but it's a relative, you know, active vocal person,
Mhm.
and I have, I've talked to her tonight or tomorrow, but she's pissed off. And she wants to know what the IDA is doing.
Well, we
What are we doing?
we're always up to something.
Well,
So,
relative, I mean, I went through the comp plan, I mean, it's a process, right?
But they're,
And-
it's who gets, who did they pick to be
Um,
all of that, so. I have preliminarily explained to her that we help fund it,
Right.
we have no agenda with it.
Right.
And,
Well,
can I,
We have no vote. I mean, it's everything.
there is no, the IDA is just a participant in it.
Participating just like any
Any-
member of the community.
Right,
participating.
and we weren't the deciders of who was selected to be on the committee, correct?
Oh, correct,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
we-
Other than having our own
So
representative.
we have one vote.
So,
Yeah.
what's the decider? How did that committee get decided?
The town or the,
Well, the town,
The
the
town
village,
points their committee,
right,
So it was the town,
right?
what I told,
okay,
that I just am gonna reiterate what I
Town and
said.
the village, right?
Yeah,
Town
I
and
said
village.
it's
members
the,
from the community that we thought.
so if they have a, somebody they wanna talk to you about that, it would be Rick Hans and Mark Evans. Because they're the ones
So
that,
But as
Like
a person who might not be vocal, there are gonna be public hearings, so they
Sure.
come and they,
show up and say.
There's also a comment section on the website.
Yeah,
You know,
not liking who's on the committee and why didn't we know anything about, and like, this is somebody that should have been dialed in, wasn't, you know, so it's all, you know, it's all that stuff. I just,
if they
But-
wanna be more involved, then maybe, yeah, they could volunteer
Well,
and.
Yeah, they'll have a ton of committee. I mean, the last one of these I sat on in Athens,
Oh, God,
it went on for 2 years, the
Yeah.
process. So like,
Right.
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no slam
yeah,
bang.
no, I just wanna make, like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna repeat again that
And be vocal.
Yeah,
it's just
And
that,
we want people to be, vocal because they have to have their input before we can make any decisions
yeah,
for the community.
I will,
Yeah.
having, as an adjunct to the conversation, I will say that at the February meeting of the Town of Coxsackie Planning Board, the Village of Athens, we presented, because we have completed our drinking water source protection program efforts with the Department of Health and EC. So as they're looking at their zoning, I mean, the whole part of the presentation, we're doing the same thing with the Town of Athens is, the water source for the village is not in the village's domain. And so we are being very specific with them, around understanding any changes that they make as part of community planning and zoning, need to consider, the buffer, the water source and all of those sorts of things. So, I'm just letting you know that we will be doing the Town of Athens on the 25th. We did the Town of Coxsackie on February 5th.
And is that part of, so when they're working on their comp plan, they take that into consideration?
Yes, both the comp plan and the town of Bath, and so like if you go onto the comp plan website, they have the maps up there with the zoning classifications and everything, and part of comprehensive planning is where do you want your industry, where do
Yeah.
you want your, you know,
That's pretty much
residential, that sort of
the
stuff.
role in it is where do you want us to develop further,
Yeah.
or do you wanna change it?
And it's not even us,
Yeah.
it's, we're just,
We provide
Right.
information, there's a lot of interest in this,
Right.
take that into account when you decide
this
about that.
corridor is this, there's no water and sewers,
Right.
so you're never gonna have energy there,
And we
you're never
have-
gonna have, right.
There's these projects, they're gonna bring in a lot of jobs, so. Let's take into the account that we have no housing stock.
Yeah, and Donna,
We're gonna talk about that next.
this time, I think, well, you know, the first time a lot of these communities did comprehensive plans. It was, you know, shocking to a lot of people, some places didn't have zoning or like very like, not even clear zoning.
Yeah,
So the first time it was, and I know up in Baltimore when they did it, I was involved in it a little bit, I think sitting in, on one of the committees, whatever, like. They, most of it was good, but they got a little overzealous with, there were like too many zones and nodes and all this stuff.
yeah, right.
And I think they realized after they did it, like, we gotta go back and eliminate, and they cleaned it up a little bit. This time around, the second time around with places doing it, I expected to go a little smoother, because it's really just cleaning up and adjusting some things. That have been realized over time, you know what I mean, that make more sense over time. So like up on the 9W corridor,
Yeah.
really just adding some flexibility things, it's not
Yeah.
a radical change or
Well, that's the thing, the website makes it look like it's this whole thing, but the reality is.
not much is gonna change. Really.
Not much is
No,
gonna change in
not at
that,
all.
and the website kind of leads you in a different direction than that.
Okay.
So that's just not that, it's not a. I could, yeah, it's not a criticism, so, and I haven't gone through the website enough that, to make a comment about that, but I will communicate that this is not, it's more, you said, it's
Right,
a refinement. It's
so,
not a
Right, cause some
Fast.
people usually come in two camps, they're either, it's too restrictive and I don't want any zoning, right, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then the other end of the spectrum is, I don't want anything, you know, so. Where they're coming down on this, really, like I said, it's gonna probably give a little more flexibility in some places.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be a radical change in zoning of what's already there.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about a comprehensive plan, you were fundamentally talking about zoning decisions.
Well, no, the next,
No.
the comprehensive plan is your leadership of the community says, this is what we'd like to see. The next step is approval of amendments to the zoning ordinance or
Consistent
adopted,
with that, yeah.
consistent with the plan.
Right, but the tool is zoning, so it's not like,
There is no nexus, I mean, they have to then go forward and affirmatively pass legislation, putting in updated zoning.
right, but it's all about zoning, so it's not like,
it's not all about zoning here. I'm gonna give you the spreadsheet and I'll share it with the board. This is what EDR took from the current comprehensive plan. There's regulations and standards, which has the zoning part, oversight and management, there's historic preservation, there's tax base. So this is all in the comprehensive plan of what was done in 2007. So
So these
as
are
we meet, these are the
rules
sections, these are the
about-
sections in the comprehensive plan. Do we wanna leave them alone? Do we wanna change anything? Do we update anything? Yes, zoning is in the regulations, but there's a lot of different sections that they're looking at. Services from the government is in your comprehensive plan. So commercial land use, you know, so if you wanted to take a look at this, I'm just printing it out for the meeting that I was just in, but you know, brownfield development, here's the road maintenance, this is all in the.
okay, so if you're talking about road maintenance, that would then say, we need to improve road, so that would have an implication for the budget or okay, that's all I wanted. So there are,
There's all the
it
sections.
could affect,
Yeah.
how we make decisions, about where budget is directed as well as.
Well, it lays out a plan.
Yep, I get that.
There are lots of comprehensive plans that go onto a shelf,
Yeah.
never see the light of day.
Yeah.
It doesn't direct budget, it informs what policies could be considered, but a lot of village boards and town boards park that thing, and they use it when convenient,
Yeah.
especially if you have
Right.
waterfront. no, we don't want an oil refinery on our waterfront, right? And they pull it off.
And
But
your
but
zoning
it-
should be
that's,
consistent with
you
your
know,
comprehensive
Right,
plan.
or, but something like, we wanna get more money to have fireworks. Well, in the comprehensive plan, it says we wanna have, I'm just using this as an
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah.
We wanna have, encourage recreation at our park site. So they would look back at that and say, this is what we said there. Okay, that's all I wanna.
Right, but it would be about use and access to the waterfront. They want the broadest public. So if somebody comes and says, I want to put a marina in there,
Mhm.
the plan can help support
Got
marina.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it can help
Got
Yeah.
knock a marina
I wanna
off,
put a
you know?
smelting factory right there. The marina is probably gonna be a yes relative to your comprehensive plan. The smelting factory
Right.
is a no.
And they'll go
Right.
back to the
Yeah,
document
consistent.
to make the justification
Yeah.
for why they're deciding blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Got it, okay, great.
In defense of the village, I think Mark Evans carries his comprehensive plan around with him.
Well, no, I don't wanna
Yeah,
minimize it,
yeah,
but I will
yeah.
say that, you know, especially when you have something like waterfront. But here, just like in a lot of it, you have farmland. There are lots of people who want to protect farmland and protect the right to farm. Until you're next door to one and it's a pot farm, or you're right, no, I'm just making this up, right? Or people don't want the birds, or
Yeah, yeah.
they move there because it's bucolic and they don't realize what happens on a farm,
Right.
right? Like how, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that balancing on how the community grows within the context of the plan.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, great, great.
And like Maggie said, it could go on for another year. I do have a calendar schedule
Yeah.
I can share also, you know, to let you know when
Mhm.
they're gonna be setting up the public hearings. The public hearings, but public comment periods, you know.
There's a lot of public process in these things, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
lots of boards, it's like each of these sections will be represented. You get little notes that you can like add notes and stick them
you know,
on
part of the
different
reason for
boards.
updating them. First of all, the state usually incents and puts money up, but the other reason is the state, to be eligible for grants, wants a current plan.
Yeah.
So like if your plan is from 2007 and you wanna go for a waterfront revitalization grant,
Put the
they're
stamp.
probably gonna say, you know, your planning is a little out of date.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's a sequencing thing, get that updated, then it helps you and others, by the way, private as well as public, go after and they
Yeah.
can cite the plan as this being consistent with it.
Yeah, I'm just the reason I asked the question, I just wanted to get clarity about, you know, why is the comprehensive plan important and what is it considered? So now I
It's a
have it.
precondition to zoning changes.
But it's
And-
more than that.
And
It's more
it's,
than
and
That's what
it's
I-
also,
Yeah.
it's
But
also a
that's-
precondition to grants, federal
Right.
and private,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
And as I said, most of the changes, even the zoning changes, these aren't gonna be radical changes. They're
Yeah,
gonna be minor updates in areas that are very consistent with what's already there. That changing it from whatever, mixed use to light
Right.
industrial, or adding some other options in on what's allowed.
there are a couple, what's the most recent, we had a project recently, within the last several years.
Yeah.
Where Renee had to work on a zoning classification change, and it was in Coxsackie someplace.
We had to add
One
something.
part of the parcel,
Uh-huh.
like I'm making this up, something
It's
might
part
have
of the
been mixed
parcel.
use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And something was industrial.
yeah,
You know, and
Yep.
you're the guy who wants to build a hotel, that's neither,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so that's not comprehensive planning, but the comprehensive plan is gonna look at that map that's up there and say, you know what? That is kind of agriculture, that
Right.
is, we don't want 1,000 houses there.
Yep.
right.
Or maybe we do, or, you know, the.
Or in the comp plan,
Right.
that's where it said that
The
corridor is
location,
where it should be
the sort
developed.
of change, or the corridor,
Right.
because the world has changed, right?
Yeah.
Where the river used to be all industrial.
Right.
Now
so much.
people are about public access and use, and it's very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, okay, great. No, I'm just,
And on that note, I would assume that one of the logical things to do would be to pull zoning board of appeals. Topics that have come up since 2007 and say, you know, this is the things where it didn't fit our cookie cutter.
Mhm.
So should we consider, you know, change that's related to
Problems.
this smorgasbord of applications over the last, 19 years.
The other
Maybe
thing,
some, they identify a
Yeah,
corridor
like
that
this is the thing
says,
that keeps
maybe we
coming
need
up.
to change this corridor because of, this consistency of
Yeah,
request.
right,
and
Yeah.
even if it weren't zoning board of appeals, we just dealt with a special use permit in the village of Athens.
Mhm.
So Hager's Harbor,
Yeah,
it's commercial, it's in the waterfront
Yeah, yeah.
district, but the use was commercial. They're gonna convert it to a house. They're moving it back to residential.
Or reverting
I-
the zoning back
They're
to.
reverting now, and the reason that they needed a special use permit is not, if it were single family, no, but there's already an apartment there on the second floor and has been for years,
Yeah.
so. Two family, anything, required a special use permit, so the other part of zoning that somebody will look at, not this committee, is those kind of nuances.
Yeah,
Like,
okay,
do you
great.
want it there, cause if it's not. As a matter of right, or a special use permit.
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
Well,
Mhm.
in New Baltimore, almost everything had to be special use permit till they did the comp plan.
Right.
And then, they got a list of allowed uses, which was
Right.
much better than every single
Much smoother.
thing having to
Right.
go to special use permit, and then it kind of hanging out there of maybe you don't get your permit renewed.
Right.
So it's a much better way to go, or to,
yeah, so I mean, what,
They're big conversations, not little.
yeah, so it actually wouldn't be bad on the, I'm just thinking on the website to say, these are the. Handful of things that we know we need to address. We continually have problems like boom, 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 and we expect,
Okay, I'll ask EDR to address it.
yeah, I just think it would.
I don't know that that's our job to do it. I
No,
mean,
that's why I just like-
and I think they're at the very beginning, so,
I
but-
mean,
yeah.
you're talking to people, that's
Yeah.
only why I'm bringing it
Yeah.
up, it just seemed to me it sounds, it's a great website, it's beautiful, it just sounds. Whoa, but so if it's,
That's exactly what they are.
right, but if you can bring it down and just say, we've got some areas we need to have zoning, we need to just like, this is something that comes up and those where expect the majority of the focus will be, and
I would expect that the
Everybody-
majority of the pushback or problems would be people who do not understand even what's going on, and that actually not much is going to change, and that it's just updating what's already there.
that's
And as soon as they
exactly
hear that, they're gonna go,
Oh,
oh.
all right, that's.
But ultimately, that's up to the town to do, probably, is to roll out and explain this process of
Exactly.
what they're doing,
Yeah.
so that's really, that's the town's job.
Yeah, so maybe that, I mean, that's my
Isn't that-
point, you could just
so
make
the-
it not sound so.
I think it's on there, and I mean, 'cause I actually looked at their website
Yeah.
but, I would agree with you that the process, and that's often why you have a consultant. Because they work in the planning space
Yeah.
generally, and so they're attuned to what to go look for.
Yeah.
And then the frustration happens, is like you get a big grant. The Cooksaki got a very big downtown grant. The state puts out the parameters for those grants, and probably you can't use it for what people really would want,
Right.
whatever that might be,
Right.
carrying the electric lines,
Yeah, right.
No, it's facade improvement, it's, which is okay, it's just like,
Yeah,
that's
but
where
we
the
really
twists come
don't.
in, right, what,
Something like that, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so just thinking like if it's right at the beginning, right off, boom, boom, boom. People don't read,
Yeah, I was gonna,
That's the understatement.
Yeah.
they don't read, so they're gonna look at.
They go to stores, some of you are told what's going on.
Exactly, so it's like, this is not a big deal, guys.
Mark
Yeah.
actually did put out something on Village of Cooksaki Facebook page
Uh-huh.
about the process.
Yeah.
And it was concise.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. It was sort of like a public
I
announcement.
think you
but-
did say too, it's been however 10 years since we
Yeah.
asked it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was mentioning just updating things, so.
Right,
Yeah.
so I can share that again, and I'll share it on the IDA page too.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a question on that. What's our financial
It's
contribution to
50,000, so 50,000 for the town, the village, and then us.
No, I love being a consultant, ka-ching, except for me. Get charged with everybody's.
Yeah.
What, really? Okay.
We already touched on Champlain Hudson, but I've been, since this started in 2020, I've updated all my contact people, town supervisors, and like I said, Paul and I are gonna get on the phone with Ray Ward to discuss the next step so that I can update all the taxing jurisdictions, because it does run through 10 taxing jurisdictions.
He introduced his new deputy last night to the legislature as well.
Audrey.
So Audrey, and I'm hearing terrific things.
Yeah, I sit on the
But
planning board.
we should, develop a relationship there so that when Ray steps back,
Ray's
Or
not allowed to
Audrey
say
Hickman,
that.
Audrey Hickman.
oh,
No,
Your mouth
Audrey
God's ears.
Tolriger,
Okay.
she's on the county planning board as
Okay.
well with us, so I
yeah,
see her.
very
on the-
happy with her.
Yep, yep.
But Ray's a dynamo in his own right. He's
Yeah.
Very good.
incredible.
And historic knowledge.
Mm.
So
40 years.
moving on, yeah. we'll be on the call with him, we'll get Champlain Hudson build, it's just a matter of, the tax
Call me, yeah.
parcel numbers,
Mhm.
like duplicate or dummy, so.
Yeah.
Renee had it all worked out in his head, but, I'll get it on paper. So I'm ready to invoice, so we have the schedules ready to go, so, I'm sure Paul can touch base with.
Chippy's attorney to get it kind of moving. I think we just gotta talk about process and then I think we'll be
Yep.
okay.
Okay. So Champlain Hudson, Flint Mine Solar, I will get an update by the end of this month on their PPA, purchase agreement. And then we'll set up the closing with them, hopefully break ground this spring. How
Are
did,
you affected all by any of the federal changes?
I'm sure, that's
Because
kind of
this
some of the delays,
EPA bill has gotta have something to do with it.
what is the bill?
Well, the changes at the EPA.
I think we talked about that a couple of meetings ago, that there were a variety of changes, a variety of, I don't want to say HR1, but there were tax credit changes, there were a whole lot of things that were kind of pushing people to move, but their problem is they don't have anyone buying until they get through this state NYSERDA process, because whomever their prior purchase agreements.
Right, they ended
Fell
it with
apart.
Minnesota.
Right, so, but yeah, all the changes at the federal level are changing the economics of a lot of these,
The Green Deal is definitely changing.
Okay, I'll find out. Housing update, okay, so, after discussions with Paul, I think we are on good grounds to move forward with maybe updating a policy. Which is helpful, especially because we have several companies coming in, the Essenat building is sitting now empty, so we could potentially help market that for another distribution center. And
What was that now?
Essenat, so across from
Yeah, yeah,
our
no,
park,
yeah.
Essenat is also sitting empty, and should be able to use as a distribution center, but where are we gonna put all our employees? So, we have the 10 acres, I know there's a couple other developers that are looking. James and I presented to the town of Cooksaki on becoming pro-housing. We haven't heard anything after our initial meeting. The village is going through the pro-housing. The comprehensive plan will include possibly changing, our zoning on the, rural residential. Our 10 acres is rural residential, so without a changing, we'd have to go to the ZBA to have additional, like if we have one of the 85 units there, that kind of thing.
so
So,
there's an example. Does rural residential even make sense in a, where that part?
Yeah,
Right, that's,
right.
so that process is playing out. I am going to send out an updated housing project policy. We drafted this back when I took over 4 years ago, of what maybe a pilot might look like. The 10 acres might be a special situation where we lease the land. So that'll be further discussion, but, I would like to put out an RFP for developers. I have, Ken Kearney on my list and John from the hotel on the list. But if we put out an RFP, it wouldn't be, something that we would bid out, but get information on developers that might be interested in doing a workforce or a senior housing complex.
How would we word that, like a?
I think it's an RFI, I don't think it's an
RFI.
RFP, I think it's a request
Yeah.
for information, and I wouldn't say, I wouldn't characterize one or, I
just
wouldn't
one
say
side.
seniors, I wouldn't say workforce, I would
Okay.
just see,
Okay.
see what it, because you're just requesting information.
Right, I just want
Right,
to see what
yeah,
developers
that's
want to
right.
build in Greene County. What ones might want to partner with the applicant.
Right, okay, yeah.
So information, okay.
What, I emailed, James had sent an email, that we CC'd to, Rick, saying where were you guys? And I checked with James and he had no response at all.
Neither did I. But
And, so what is the impact of the towns and Billings on this?
it
Is
might
it,
just be pro-housing, so if they don't move forward on pro-housing, then there's elimination from like grants and things that are subsidies. Now, the developers that we would be working with would be more about incentives to build on our property or
Right, so back to the town, so by virtue of their inaction, the town's losing an opportunity for developers to have access to grants. That could make any development more beneficial to the town. And the
To them,
To the
to them,
developer.
to the
The
developer.
developer, would it also then benefit the developers getting benefits, perhaps then that money goes into daycare centers or something like that. So I'm very not happy that the town is doing what it's not doing. And so I just want to,
Discussion behind the scene, they just now have reached out to James and I about what their plan is for the next step. Now, they could be just trying to wait it out and see what happens with the comprehensive plan of where they want housing, where they don't want housing.
The parcel that you're interested in putting an RFI out about, separate the town out, right? We own this parcel.
right,
It needs a zoning classification change.
Probably, yes.
Yeah,
And
at
that's,
present, yeah, they have to go to
present.
ZBA, if we had somebody
What
in
do you
tomorrow.
mean, ZB well, so as opposed to,
Going to use variance.
Change
you're going,
use.
right, I get
Yeah.
the use variance, but why, I mean, at this point, is there any, given where the parcel is there any appetite, do you think, at the zoning, with the village to change the classification now, regardless of having to go through a variance?
Even through a moratorium in place.
I don't know, I'm
I
asking.
don't know.
On zoning changes?
Yeah.
but this is the town, I mean, this is in the town,
I
right,
get-
it's not the
No, I
village.
get what you're
correct?
saying, Maggie, it's
Yeah,
yeah, and they couldn't change, like, you couldn't go and change.
Right, like, they're definitely,
Yeah.
when the world is and I don't wanna even call it spot zoning, but
I don't know.
sometimes communities, like, we've done that in Athens.
Well,
Canada.
the requirement to change the zoning in a spot, I mean, that would be spot zoning, but just say you changed it, is that public hearings and all that?
So,
Yeah.
any zoning change that are gonna require public hearing
Right.
and notice.
Yep.
You could face a spot zoning
Yeah.
change. I've survived those.
I guess I'm wondering what's easier, because just say we had a developer tomorrow, and we
Right.
said, look, we're just gonna go to the
Current
ZBA,
zoning right
we're
now.
gonna get a change of use there and to build this
I had a
project.
use variance is very difficult to obtain if held to your proof. The use variance is
It's really
essentially, if you,
Yeah.
if you're held to your proof. It's dollars and cents
Well-
proof showing you there are no other feasible.
I mean, just let me give you an example, it's like in a different town, but in Ravenna, I have a building that used to be a medical building, dentist office. And I went and changed the use to make it apartments, and it literally required like one meeting.
Right.
I had to take them there, show
Because there
them.
was already a building there, it was already,
Yeah, that's true, give them a
Yeah.
plan, but it was a change of use
Right.
because I forget what they had, it, once again, it was one of these messed up.
Yeah.
Zoning things, that it was commercial, and I changed it back to residential.
So did you get a special use permit or did you have to get a use variance?
It was a use variant, yeah,
So you have no objectors.
right, no, it was
but there was a
literally,
building on the property, that's sort of like the special
It
use
was
permit for
existing.
Taylor's Harbor,
Yeah.
nobody showed up to the
Yeah.
public
it
hearing.
was existing.
But I think
If you have
it's
an
almost like a
objector,
parallel, to me, it's like a parallel process, if that parcel is RR now, and that parcel makes no sense
Yeah, I know.
as RR,
Right.
given where it is. To me, there should be a quiet conversation with the town board to say, we're the IDA, we own this parcel, this isn't
Right.
We already have
RR,
the
right?
time in.
Yeah,
Uh,
we haven't gotten executed on, there's no result, it's all.
well, yeah, but John, that's, no, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
they're not interested in big housing development, read the room.
Proactive,
you know?
if that parcel changed,
Yeah,
that's really what our ask would
Our
be,
ask would be, it's right, that-
to go there, and whatever's going on here, just go there and say.
is there gonna be any objectors?
I don't
So
think
then
there-
go get it. I would probably
you
go in right now, town board.
Right, that's what I'm
Do
saying.
do a spot zone, do an amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have a use, it just makes no sense. We're not in the RR business,
Like,
right? And that's, just
Yeah,
where that parcel is. So you've started a process, because to request information from developers, when you have a parcel that already has a hurdle on it, like,
Who's gonna care?
that something's pending getting fixed versus
Right.
it's ready to go.
Yeah,
correct.
I agree with
Because
that.
even that process,
Yeah.
while it may take 3 months.
Yeah.
For them to get through publishing a local law, doing a zoning map sort of change. 3 months is nothing in the grand scheme of a developer.
Right.
Yeah,
We just update that piece as a piece we
Right.
own, and we want.
That's right, it's a piece we own and we're just, right.
Just go and get it.
yeah, we've done this a long time.
mean.
going with our consultant's advice to play out,
Who's
but.
the
What consultant? Yeah.
I think
Right,
it was
yeah.
a consultant at the time.
No, I
Renee
understand his thought in that, but
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
the world's also changed a lot, right? That,
because we're going with that RFI and all that, I do get that logic of, we don't want some impediment that, oh, but
right.
Right.
it's ready to go.
But, and almost anything, frankly. If
Right.
somebody came to us for that
You're
parcel
gonna
and it's
get sale
RR,
tomorrow,
like, we have
if
no,
it's done, yeah.
we don't have a handbook for RR. We
Yeah.
just
I
don't.
mean, if that's, is that the only parcel we have that's RR zoned, or do we have
Yeah.
others?
And I didn't even think it was RR. I thought it was mixed use at first, but
Yeah.
the line cuts
Yeah.
across, so.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Those line changes can be less problematic.
Right,
Right.
I think. it's-
So what's, we just have to submit the information and go to the public hearing, right, to have a. public-
Submit an application for rezoning.
Yeah.
Right.
Parcel
Pretty
to,
simple.
Right.
you know, house.
Yeah.
Same, we're looking at our portfolio.
Yeah. Which
And
is
it actually-
ultimately gonna play out that way anyways, with the
Right.
comprehensive
That's
plan
right.
done, and you can
Exactly.
tell them that, but this, we wanna just have it ready to do
Well,
something because
because
it's restricted right now.
comprehensive plan and then the implementation of the zoning, there's no
Yeah.
key that your zoning has to be done within 2 years of the comp plan.
And it-
You're could be 4 years
and
away.
it matches already what's in the comp plan now.
Right.
So there's nothing unusual,
Yeah.
that,
And that's one of the facts that help you get out of the spot zoning.
right.
So
Right.
Donna wanted me to do this 4 years ago, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
well,
this is.
All right,
Yeah.
well,
Okay,
we're focused.
Okay, so zoning and then RFI.
It wouldn't have
and
changed the
update.
town's opinion one bit.
No, we don't.
But we did have the town in, they liked the plan of the one developer that.
We have talked to them about it, it's not like we haven't had this discussion.
Right.
And now that we're.
But
getting to the
regardless, for
point-
any use, we need a zoning change.
Now we're getting to the point where like an RFI and trying to engage
Correct.
people, I think it does put us ahead.
See, on my map, it shows industrial in the back and commercial zone in the front.
That's what you've been saying forever.
Right, but then when I looked online, it said RR.
Go to the building inspector, ask for an interpretation,
Okay,
and that's what I would do. But you need, that's gonna be the
Regardless
first,
of whatever it is, it's still not okay.
that's your, well, that's your first step, because if he interprets it in a way that we're permitted in that zone, then you don't have to deal with it.
Right, and get it in writing.
Right,
And is housing allowed in a commercial zone?
or is it a special use?
Right, that's what.
Because we're
Look
thinking
at
of
the
mixed use
uses.
housing too, like.
If
we
you want me
think
to look at
commercial-
your zoning ordinance and a map, I certainly don't mind doing it,
all right,
but
I'll
yeah.
get you the lot number for this lot that, the 10 acres that we're looking at, but yes. my
Sometimes
map
those warrants are not
is
always
commercial.
accurate.
Well, and
Right,
what does
and
the
I'm-
Greene County Properties site say?
It says RR.
When you go onto the GIS map or
Yeah.
whatever of them?
Yeah.
That's not the official zoning map. The official zoning map is what governs.
I will get you the information you.
Yeah, I can take a look at it, then
Make
we
it
can
make
have a
sense.
conversation with the building inspector.
Okay,
And because if he makes an interpretation that this property is a permitted use, then you're
Right,
good
then
to
we're
go.
good,
Yeah.
that's right.
So that you just gotta nail it down.
Yeah.
I agree.
okay.
We've heard you.
I love that.
It's taken us a while.
Finally.
It's taken us a while to hear you, but we hear you.
Get the
But I
zoning.
it wasn't until recently in a court hearing that I felt comfortable
Yeah.
to do housing as an IDA, so.
Right. It's the next step, I think, in the process, and it's a good step, especially if we're going to that point of getting RFIs out there. And we're starting to really engage somebody, we just gotta clean up that now, and
But we need to also just, getting the zoning change doesn't have any impact on what we do as an IDA. Just because the zoning change doesn't mean we have to give pilots or we have to do any of that other stuff. It's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting your use permitted for your property.
this is
Right.
allowed use, that's.
It's shovel ready your site.
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Yes.
It's restrictive right now, it doesn't even make sense even with the
Yeah.
current comprehensive plan, so it's just an adjustment to
Yeah, and-
what is
And
there.
it doesn't mean we're gonna do pilots and go crazy or do any of that stuff.
You don't even have somebody.
Right,
We are looking
House and a
at
farm.
the same thing that love, right? They're looking at a parcel, we're looking at infrastructure, this is what we
And
got.
that's,
Down, Neil Murphy from Birch Hill,
Oh, for the RFI?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's been looking at building stuff, and I think he's got something going in Earlton.
Yeah.
I think, like 18 or 20 units or something.
what's the company?
Birch
Birch Hill?
Hill. Out of Greenville.
so, back to that question about the, pro housing, is there a place online I could just look at it? I just wanna get clear on what the town is missing out on by not
You
doing
can
that.
ask James, because I'm not 100% about grants. and
Oh, I'll
providing
just
data
email
on
him then,
grants.
yeah, I'll just email him, then. I just want some clarity on,
Yeah,
like,
if you
you
wanna
know,
respond.
I mean, maybe it
to-
doesn't matter.
Right,
Or
Why
maybe
not?
it's a missed opportunity for,
Since we're talking about housing for a minute, there's one thing in Catskill that I've been thinking about for some time, and they're looking at building 70, 80 houses behind Price Chopper.
Yeah. I saw that.
Can we check the status of the old, Milroy, Condor property? Right there next to this Price Chopper.
yeah, I mean, Terry and James probably have the information, cause I know that they get a lot of,
Let's
people
check
asking
it
them.
out.
Didn't we hear
It's
that-
sold to
Right,
something.
it sold, what did I hear that was going in?
Antique store.
No,
Yes,
I thought I heard
I'll find out.
a rehab facility,
Heard anything to that effect, but that doesn't mean.
but I heard that a while ago,
I'll find out.
I think it changed hands a couple of times now.
Yeah.
I think there's an out-of-state company that currently owns it.
Okay.
But, I always, as I think you guys are aware, I believe it's, the developer there has restricted access to that private road because they don't want any competition for their existing
Right.
plaza there, built next door. But I can't imagine that if we were able to look at further housing there, that Price Chopper and that developer would be ecstatic
Yeah.
over, let's just say 40 or 50, 3-story type,
Where are you thinking, on the corner?
I'm thinking right there on that. And basically, you got the railroad tracks on one end, so maybe that's parking down there, but you go maybe 3 or 4 stories in the village, and maybe that would be a good location for some more housing, which,
But you've been reading articles on the AV housing in the community and how it's gonna be a traffic jam. I mean, that's a lot.
I would say, and having a totally separate from that, there is, I understand that the Catholic Church is now ready to start dealing up and down with the county. I have, so when you think about the old school, I realize they're having a church there, but I think about the rectory. I think about that parcel. I didn't know they owned the parcel that you played softball on. If just in terms of, it's not gonna be huge,
Yeah.
but 10 or, right there, people can walk to,
Yeah.
services and all that sort of stuff.
It's-
I mean, I think there's a smaller scale opportunity before that rectory falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
It strikes me somebody should be thinking about redeveloping, and I don't know if that's Cascade Mountain housing. It looks like a big building. I've never been in the rectory, but I mean, it looks like
It's a
it could be
good
5 or
size.
6 apartments
oh,
of some.
oh, yeah, I would say so.
decent,
Yeah. It's a good sized building for sure.
But I'm understanding they're dealing.
We had started a conversation with Catskill Mountain Housing on, how can we participate, help, assist? And at that time, it was a separate kind of animal. It was different than what we wanted to do.
Yes,
So-
because they operate in a very specific lane,
Right.
which is still not a bad thing if
No,
they,
that's
you know,
fine.
need help, right?
Whereas we're
And
looking at
is Catskill
workforce
a
and-
pro housing community? I think that they did designate. I think they are, that's right. So,
And I understand the traffic issue, for a half hour every day, does it get congested up there? Yeah, it does. But,
Yeah.
progress there's pros and cons to anything you do. So, I mean, knowing the size of the village, and I read the stuff on Facebook and stuff about the development, and, I bet you there hasn't been that number of building permits in the village of Catskill in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And they have a major property tax problem with all the tax exempt properties, the
Yeah.
county, all the churches, and, the not-for-profits are all over the place. I don't know what the percentage is anymore, but I will guess it's in excess of 30% of the properties.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's easy to complain, solutions are tough. And,
well, at least there's a traffic light there.
yes,
You know what I mean? I think from a traffic control point of view, you don't have to deal with that. Yep.
so.
At least there's some traffic.
No, trying to get a traffic light from DOT is not, it is not an easy thing.
No,
That's actually on my checklist for
and it's
culvert,
expensive.
and I haven't heard
And
back.
it's
in-
expensive, and, oh, yeah,
2 years.
you'd think this is not a big deal, it's an
Oh,
immense
it's-
deal.
Oh my gosh,
And you
that's
gotta have
amazing.
the traffic to warrant it, you know, you gotta prove
Yeah,
that.
oh no, they
Traffic
come in with their
studies.
traffic study, you don't come in with yours, it's, yeah.
It's kind of like getting a nuclear plant food.
Mm.
Not as bad as that.
Not in my backyard. That one.
Yeah.
I did put a request in to DOT to look at it. And, you know, timing might be good if we actually do other development in there, but, that's been 2 years in the making.
Okay.
So, on to parks, so Green Business, I don't know if Keith was here last time, but, I'm gonna be working with Art Bias, just coming up with some simple contract language about, planting on our vacant acre, for the 14 acres, the 26 acres, the 10 acres, just to get it, tilled and plowed and you
Yeah,
can put it in
maintained
sweet.
and
Yep, and
kept
then
from
if,
turning.
I do have somebody who wants to develop this summer, then we just make them
Well done.
whole,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I'll keep moving forward on that. So you might see activity, but it's not the building activity, it's
Right,
farming activity. Gateway Green, hotel closing, Paul's been working on that, so we're still looking for a spring, groundbreaking.
Mhm.
And then the Win Stanley building, we sort of touched upon this also of, new jobs coming in. So the email that I sent out had the pros and the benefits. I am waiting to hear back from Jackie, who's the interim assessor, for Cooksaki on what a new assessment might look like. So the Save a Lot building, they successfully sued to have the assessment lowered for the next 2 years.
Mhm.
That's from Jackie, but if they put in 125 million, then that would be
you know what the
New.
assessment is now on it, or what they were.
9 million, and then it might drop to 8 point.
What's the full value, or what's the full
I don't
value?
know the full value. She
The
said
full
the
value is
assessment,
the affordable.
Okay, right. It's more than 9 million,
16.
yeah.
It's 15 or 17, or
Right.
18.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
And they paid a lot of money for it,
Yeah.
they paid in excess
Right,
of the assessment.
so,
So,
yeah.
you know,
so
so
now,
you basically, I think should be recommending a freeze of the existing assessment,
right,
and then any new thing.
new
would be-
money, new investment, we're gonna do something
I
with
think
it.
that's
Right,
what we're looking
so-
Okay,
She's gonna give me that number so I can
Okay.
finish the cost benefit analysis. I said, sort of the start, you know, of the draft of what they're requesting, the sales tax exemption, mortgage tax exemption.
Yeah.
And then I'll be able to come up with pilot
Okay.
cost benefit analysis, of, you know, 125 million investment versus what our, benefits look like. 315 jobs, we are one of the sites, they're looking at one in Connecticut, but I think our site is better. It's, they're using, New York farmers. So
okay,
as I get the final, application, and also ESC is working with them. So they might get a grant based on the job numbers that they create.
So essentially, this is adding a processing facility to the warehousing
Right, so it'll
facility.
be distribution of certain product and manufacturing,
Yeah.
but they are going to be flipping the building mostly, well, a lot of it over to refrigeration, so. The numbers,
Refrigeration space is
Premium.
notably more expensive than regular plain vanilla warehouse. I mean, it's,
That's what made this site appealing.
correct, and that it had the existing infrastructure, so if you go over to the Hanford facility in Skodak, I think 40% of it is, there's cooler space, and then they have the deep freeze space. And for a quarter of an hour additional, you work in the deep freeze space. Right, I was in there, did you know that?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Parker comes with your job.
Yeah.
No,
we had-
not attractive.
Yeah.
We had to buy
and
Carhartt, you know,
Yeah.
outfit for our
well
women that
paid.
work the freezer.
I put the numbers in there for payroll for the first year.
She was great.
So.
Yeah.
I will get all the numbers over.
It's a, I think it's a potentially easy sell going from purely warehousing to manufacturing. And the benefits that come with it, well, including the increased pay. So, I think.
So
it
this
should pass
project,
the step test. Oh,
I have been in discussion with the county as well for their support on these two.
You said 315 jobs,
It was 250, now they've said it could be 315.
so there is no place for those people to live.
Yes, unless they hire, people who already live here.
We're all living somewhere presumably right now, but the problem
But,
is
yeah, it's right
them
there.
attracting somebody in.
Right, cause
who is-
there's not a.
300 is
Or-
after all the reconstruction?
It's a big number.
Cause we don't have a,
Yeah.
again, on those big days, like,
Construction
it's not an easy commute from Albany to
Yeah.
here.
They displace from other locations.
Yeah.
So if you wanna bring in that number of jobs,
Yeah. Well, there's the cost to commute, so.
yeah,
I did, yeah. Yeah, there's the cost to commute, so what you're paying them has
Yeah.
to translate into how far they gotta drive.
unless we
So-
have. And it's,
Yeah.
then this would mean if we brought that in, then that would make UMH more, have a greater incentive to start to build.
Sure.
So that's something we don't want, so therefore, we had housing alternatives, we could,
I don't think we have an opinion on UMH.
No.
No.
no,
No,
No.
we don't have an
because
opinion.
we're not involved. It's
But-
not us. It's
And
not.
ultimately, they're gonna do what they're gonna do at this
Right,
point.
Right, I understood that, but just in terms of the perspective from people in the village and the concerns about all of that.
Based on the reports that came out from the county, there is a need for that kind of housing, but, the prices keep going up for.
What I would say is, as you pursue the conversation with the building inspector and others, the types of projects and people that are looking in that corridor, compel a clarity
Sure.
on what the zoning,
Yes.
what the use
Right.
of the property can be.
Plus, people who live there could walk to work.
Sure.
Yes,
Well,
they don't have to. own a
That's what
car.
makes it a no-brainer. They're gonna have 300 jobs there.
Yes.
Apartment building in walking distance is,
I mean, what a selling point, I mean, for that company.
Yes.
I mean, we don't, like,
Thank you.
What do they, if they were to come in and, if Agrimark were committing, what's the turnaround time on that? They don't have to build a new building.
It's
No,
so
They have to
expensive.
outfit.
It's.
No, I know it's
18
expensive, but
months.
it's 18 months, before,
For
for
construction. They wanted to
construction.
start
Yep.
sometime, hopefully this summer, if everything
Yep.
gets approved. For location. Sorry,
They are in square footage.
it's 330,000 square feet, is that what
That's
you're
grand.
asking me? They might be adding additional after the first ramp up.
No, the question is, what's the existing square footage of the building, and are they adding additional square footage? That was the
Maybe
It's
question.
part of the first project.
Right.
So how much additional square footage or
They were
not?
saying 70,000
Okay.
additional square footage.
I
this
think,
way,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Plus-
you're asking about the.
Yeah.
And equipment renovations and.
Right, internally, yeah.
so if we think this is a thing. Then that even puts it makes this housing thing even more critical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Housing has been critical,
Yeah.
now we're in like nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
Well, that's where the next step
Because
is to get
we
that
have-
zoning changed,
Yeah.
that's all.
There is supposed to be bringing some more
Yeah.
employees here.
I just wanna make sure we like that, we keep that and we don't.
Well, I
Push
think
it
it
down to
only
the bottom of the
enhances,
pile again.
I think it only enhances, it's probably part of your top bullet points with the reuse of that structure.
Right.
That, there are additional pressures, which, since I've been involved for the last 40 years, I've heard about, housing being an issue. And finally, we're at that point where the IDA can consider looking at some of that stuff, and I personally, I'm encouraged we are. I think we're overly, as communities, we're overly hypersensitive
Yeah.
to what type of housing.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to learn to be, more, less critical.
Yeah.
On those topics.
Agree 100%.
Now just leave, so if we
Okay.
have no other.
No, that
discussion.
doesn't require any action today, right? We're within.
Right, no,
yeah,
no,
okay.
nothing voting, I'm just keeping everybody
Okay,
updated, okay?
so I need a motion to adjourn. Motion.
I second
All in
it.
favor?
I.
Okay.
Thank you.